In this episode, I'm going to show you an upgrade or a modification you can make to your K-Truck, pretty much any vehicle. It's for a phone mount using the quad lock system. And this custom made mount using RAM mount components and a project box. This is for a future 7-inch diagonal Android stereo that'll go inside of this box. Enjoy, hope you learned something, and thanks for watching. For this modification, I'll be installing a mount right in the spot. I already laid it out. It's roughly 1.25 inches back from the front edge of this plastic, and it's far enough over to the right that it'll still sit flat and the phone will be pretty much on this bottom corner, vertically or horizontally this way. This particular setup comes from quad lock. I've been using the quad lock system on my other GMC truck. I've used this clip, and the back of my phone has the receiving female end that you snap in, turn, and it clips, and then you can then rotate the phone either in the horizontal position or vertical. In my other truck, I wound up using RAM mounts for this portion here. Basically, I had a 2-inch on center RAM arm with a 1-inch diameter ball RAM mount to a 1/4 stud on a kind of a aluminum track that sits in the center console here. I believe Quad Lock decided to come up with their own version of this, and it's the same thing as far as function, except it's not a 3/4, it's not a 1-inch ball. This is more like a 3/4 inch ball, and they sell these parts individually that you can customize. So I customized this to have this bottom mount that you can use 2 screws to mount it to, this 2-inch on center to center arm, and this particular clip comes with the, I believe so, I think it comes with the ball in the back, or it was a separate option, I can't remember now. But if you go to their website, they have this all there. You can buy one item, or you can buy like a whole cluster like I did. Either way, I'll be back. I may have to, I don't want to just screw this into the plastic, because when I move the phone, that screw is just going to come out. So what I want to do is I want to put some maybe number 10 flathead screws in there and drill 2 holes, mating holes or matching holes here, and then underneath have a washer with a maybe a nylon lock nut, or a lock washer with a nut underneath, with probably maybe a couple of fender washers underneath. So when I do move the arm, basically you loosen this enough that it's very flexible, it'll move. But if it gets hit, I don't want this thing ripping out, possibly damaging this plastic up here. Anyhow, I'll be back with the final installation, but like I was saying, I may have to take out this bezel here. I know there's like 4 screws underneath, just so I can get access underneath here in order to tighten the nuts. So unfortunately, I don't have a camera set up that I can film this. You'll just have to take my word for it. And this is something that if you have a K-Truck, they're not that hard to work on. Very simple. You know, some screws and bolts and things start to pop out. It's just remembering how everything goes back together. There are 4 screws on the top, one right over the vent, two over the cluster, and the fourth one over the right vent. There's also two right over this bank of blanks. Can't see it with this light. And I believe there's one right there to the left of the steering wheel, and there's nothing there. The only issue I'm having is that I think that I have to remove more stuff in order to, it'll only go so far. This portion here on the right is loose, the top. However, there's something here in this area. I had to remove the knobs from the high vac. You can see all the knobs and the screws that came out of there. They snap back in, the knobs. However, I believe there's something here, maybe something that has to do with the air conditioning button is tied into, somehow it's tied into something back here, because right about here it doesn't want to pull forward and this starts to move. Without getting involved in taking this out, I will work. I have enough room in here that I can stick my fingers in there and with a open end wrench hold the nut while I screw the two screws on top. That's no big deal. Here's a bag of goodies. Yellow pencil. There's some number 10 by 32 flathead machine screws with matching nylon lock nuts and some fender washers that will fit those number 10s. I got those as last resort if they don't fit, and I have a 1-inch length. I believe these are 3/4 of an inch. I'm hoping that this works. It's 3/4 inch length. From what I can tell, this plastic is probably like a 1/16 of an inch thick, and maybe there's 3/32 of meat. So I'm trying to minimize the length of screw that goes in through the bottom for any interference. And all I did was, you can see there marked out with the yellow pencil location. It's basically, anybody wants to copy this, at least for this setup, it's 1 1/4 inches from this front edge of this mount to this front edge of the dash here. So I don't like drilling into dashboards. That's the last thing I want to do, especially one as good a condition this is. But I'm going to do it. This is a dry fitment. See how it all looks. It's too late now. We're committed. Now, the hard part of trying to hold a washer and a nut and the wrench in this small area while screwing these screws on the top. You know, I always believe you should have the right tool for the right job. This is a 3D printed nut holder for your finger, for reaching in odd places where you can't use both fingers. This is the smaller one, and this one here will hold larger nuts. I printed this out probably 6 years ago, and I've used it, maybe this might be the second time or third. However, if it works, it'll be indispensable. I'll have to print new ones since this is falling apart just being in the drawer. And dummy me didn't realize there was a access here for the brake fluid reservoir that I can reach in here with one hand and reach in here with the other to at least get the mount washer and nut mounted. What I'm going to do, it's kind of difficult even with that to hold this washer in there. I want to take some CA glue and activator, put a couple drops here, and glue this washer to the underside here so it can hold by itself while I fiddle around with the nut and then try to screw this from the top. I'll be back. There it is. The CA glue didn't work. It's too cold out here. It was actually gelling up before I can put it on there. I had to get my son's help. He has smaller hands to reach in here and hold the washers, while from this side I was able to, from the side panel, I was able to get the nut and then use a screwdriver to screw it down with the wrench from below. This is as far over to the right as it'll go because of the geometry of this arm. I'll show some photos of the phone in both the vertical and horizontal position, and it looks good. It works great. It's out of the way. It doesn't block the vent, doesn't block my view. Actually, when I'm steering wheel, I can just pretty much reach over with my fingers and touch the screen. This will be my temporary stereo and speedometer for miles per hour, because I'm still trying to get used to converting from kilometers per hour to miles per hour. I do have a little cheat sheet as far as certain speeds: 35, 55, 60, and 65. But when I'm driving it, I'm not thinking about that. So this will be my temporary media center. Make phone calls. If I have to use Google Maps, I can use it from here until I can get the Android radio stereo installed here. My next step is to install the RAM mount here. Okay, here's the plan. This is the RAM mount I purchased. It's 3 components. It's 2 1-inch mounts and a 2-inch, I think this is called the short arm. It's 2 inches on center from ball to ball. I have the same setup as far as the only difference over there, that has a 1/4 from my other truck. It doesn't have this style of base, but there's a short arm to hold my phone with the similar setup. So the plan is, it's going to go like this, mounted here. I did find a number 10 wood screw pan head. What I'm going to do is I'm going to Sharpie that head off. Same thing with that. So it's a little black. And then I'm going to try to attempt to screw it into the metal clip that holds this bezel in place. So that'll be one fastener. Then I'll mark for the right one and then drill a hole out. And the same concept with the other mount. Put a washer and a nylon nut behind it. This one's going to be more accessible somewhat, because I can get to everything from the top, and then I just got to be careful when I snap it back in or put everything back in that it clears that lip of the dash that goes behind this edge. When I mean clear, I mean the bolt sticking up. If not, I may have to trim that bolt down before this whole assembly goes back in. This part was a real pain in the rear end. This dash goes in, then it curls back out or S's back out, and it catches this lip. So for this screw here, I had to notch that out because it wouldn't clear the top of the screw and the nylon lock nut that's behind here. So you don't see any of it. It's all hidden back there. But I had to notch out about a 1/2 inch wide, about 3/4 of an inch deep of plastic in order to clear that. And then I was fortunate enough, I had to go with a 1.5 inch number 10 wood screw to catch that metal clip that's in here that holds this bezel. I was fortunate enough to find one that I had in black. This is just temporarily sharpied. The OCD in me eventually will spray paint one and then reinstall this whenever I take this down. Well, here's the final installation of that ram mount base. Basically, it's back here underneath the dash, and this is the 2-inch arm, or I think they call this a short arm. They have 3 different lengths. It's 2 inches center to center, from the ball center to the ball center there. And there's another mount identical to this one. For here, I wound up enlarging the holes and using 1/4 cap head screws. I think they look nicer with this fit. And inside of this project box, it's just a fender washer with a nylon lock nut on the inside. The idea behind here, you're actually looking at the rear of the box. This box is roughly 7 inches plus by close to 5 inches tall, and it's about 2 inches deep. The back 1/2 inch of this is the panel. That's actually the face you would use this as a project box. However, I need to access those screws. So idea is I'm going to cut a piece of smoke gray plexiglass or PVC that I have this shape, and that'll hide these holes. That'll probably go on there with just 2-way tape. Then I want to use my CNC router to cut a smaller rectangular shape, along with vents in the back for this Android radio I got. Originally, I spoken in the introduction that I was going to go with a 10-inch, but I wasn't happy with that. It was just too big. Plus, this has what I need as far as sound quality goes, not so much volume. So the idea is that this first lip right behind the knob, this will go on the inside and then out through the plexiglass. And the project box is hard to see with the video, but project box is probably a 1/4 inch bigger all the way around. So it'll look like a bezel once I'm done with it. And then the wiring will come out the back out of a hole, and most likely it'll be in a loom, and I may just go through here. Apparently this was an accessory part that maybe for clock or something like that. I've seen them in other K-trucks. So I may just drill a hole here and then have the accessory, I mean all the cabling, speakers, antenna, power, all that just sit on top of here. That's just one idea. The idea is to come out through the bottom, maybe on this corner, and maybe feed back into here or up through here, or there's more room on this side, is feed through here right above the vent, and then all the wiring will be stashed behind the thing. I think I might go with that idea, is actually come out of the bottom of the project box, and then just, it's a cleaner look. Either way, I got the mount done. It's exactly what I wanted. This is a future video, future project. I still need to source out speakers for there. I tried to start taking this door card out today, and I did find out that the glass only comes down to here. From some previous measurements, I think I can get a 6x8 or 6x9, maybe three-way speakers. So I can have lows, mids, and highs here on both sides. Even if it comes out an inch out and then an inch or so into the door panel, I'll have to customize something to dress it up here. On this side, I will still, even if it came out an inch or so, I would still clear it. At least have one set of speakers for now. Maybe in the future, see about maybe getting a second smaller set, maybe a two-way, to maybe get the mids and highs here and in this corner, but that's very tricky. There's no room here, so I'll have to think about that. But for now, I will have music coming out of here along with the Android radio. Reason I want this is because I listen to YouTube music, and I don't mean YouTube music the service, I mean YouTube playing music through the videos, because I can select more specific music that I like, and it plays like a video, but I don't watch the video because it's mostly just generic stuff on the video, but I just listen to the music. So I'll be able to take my phone and mirror YouTube here via the C connection, Bluetooth, the USB cable. Through this device, I'll be able to mirror what I see on my phone, and I'll be able to control all the audio. And then when I'm not using that, I can always use Android Auto and use this as for Google Maps, phone calls, and the other music services. Anyhow, this has been a long day. Hope somebody enjoys this, maybe gets an idea. But I got the mounts up. That's something else I can check off the list and continue from here. Thanks for watching, and enjoy.